Okay, so before we get started, let's just set something straight right here. When Salvatore said at the end that it's a stupid idea to bring the small child because he's not up to snuff with the older kids, he was right! It's a small child! Why do they have any reason to believe he'd be any help? We know he's plot relevant, but they don't. And second, if you need any more proof that it's a stupid idea to bring small children into big dangerous situations, Anakin Skywalker. Enough said. Now let's get started. So, in this episode, we started out by finishing off the backstory of how Yuya's parents met, and I addressed this last week, so I'm just going to give a sum up of that, and basically say we didn't need another duel just telling Yuya to man up. The parents meeting isn't that interesting. The mother's not that interesting. But I did weirdly laugh when the lolly and the other students actually addressed it. I don't know, that doesn't make it any better that we had to sit through this, but for some weird reason, it does make me laugh that they acknowledge their... I don't know. But basically, there was something very interesting we learned in the episode. I did really like with the whole showing Yuzu from the father's perspective of when she was a baby. And first up, baby Yuzu is adorable. There, I said it. I know I'm a man, but I'm not made of stone, I'll acknowledge it. But anyways, what I was glad it showed was that she did have the bracelet as a baby. The father mentioned that before just by saying, oh, you've had it since you were a child. And since that scene was followed up by a very beautifully done Yuzu breaking down moment, you didn't really get any context to what that meant for the overall plot. What does he mean by had it her whole life? Did she get it as a child? Was it something with her from birth? Is it something, maybe he's, I don't know. But basically what we did learn was, yes, it was from birth. She had the bracelet from when she was born. We also know her mother's not in the picture, and apparently never has been. So that could be very interesting as well. I also like that by saying, action duels started up shortly after the two parents met, it also gives us a context to how long this has been going on. The whole dimension splits potentially, and I think that could go in a really interesting direction by saying that, this is what, action duels are, let's go with 14 years old. That's an interesting idea, and I also like seeing the duel school open up. I like showing Yuzu's relationship with her father from the time she was very small. These are things that are not essential to the plot, but I liked the addition, and they were little nice touches and details. Nothing interesting really happened in this episode. Also, why the fuck did Odd Eyes have smile eyes? That was creepy and weird. I think I've had that acid trip. Anyways, so then we get on to the next day where, in the grand scheme of things, I think all this was just filler so they can end it at the right moment. But basically, we get all the Lancers meeting up, we get what I just talked about, and we get everyone getting ready to set off to the Synchro Dimension. Once again, Reiji rules every scene he is in. At first, it did almost sound like this is filler before getting to the finale, but yeah, it makes sense. Make an ally, get the Synchro Dimension. It keeps things more in context as to who the bad guys are here. Show how things can be manipulated. I also like that little smile Yuya gives to Serena when she first gets in. We see a lot of pictures of them together in the end credits, so I have a feeling we might get an interesting relationship between the two of them. The sort of like that kind of, he's obviously very relaxed and trying to make people smile. She's very militant. That could be very interesting. The other thing I really liked was Shun. First up, I love the idea that that this group of kids is working together. They are not a team. Like you immediately saw the minute Shun heard that the dimension traveling technology came from Yuto's duelist, she was ready to strangle Yuya. You saw how it almost sounds like Salvatore doesn't fully trust Reiji, and now Yuya knows that Yuzu is in the Synchro Dimension. By getting that out of the way, it allows for the distrust between Yuya and Reiji to keep building, allowing for all the relationships to stay very interesting. It keeps me involved, it keeps me in, and it made Serena look badass that she did flat out admit, I know what's really going on here, and I'm not going to keep this a secret. That was really nice, and again, shows where interesting things are going. And then we got Shun talking to Yuto. I don't know if it's supposed to be that this is just Shun's gut personified as Yuto, or if that's actually Yuto's spirit communicating from inside Yuya. Look, I knew the minute Yuto went inside Yuya, that sounded gay, he was going to come back. We all know that. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! But the thing is that showing that Yuto's consciousness is still active and maybe still playing a role could also be really interesting, as it gives us context into what Yuya is as well as what Yuzu is. Also, did they just address that the villain's plot is to form a magical girl harem with 4 girls who look alike? Just saying. Oh, and last thing before we go, I like the idea that Nico Smiley actually does care about Yuya and wants to help him. But what did you think of this episode? In the comment section below, tell me that. Anything you think is going to happen next. And as always, click to like and click to subscribe, because next time we're going back to New Domino City. Yay!